Almond Joy's got.
It is 7:07, and this is an opportunity to welcome everyone in this room. I love it when people come into this room for our council meetings. Come for different reasons, but it's just so wonderful to hear you in here, meet each other, and I'm very certain you began to meet neighbors that you didn't know were your neighbors. So it's wonderful to have you here, and also to be online either by our Facebook or YouTube. Pick it up tomorrow. And this is September the 22nd. We have a quorum, and glad you're here. Thank you so much. And would you please stand for an invocation with our Pastor Bill Easton. Thank you for being here.
Let us join together in prayer. Gracious and eternal God, we gather this evening in gratitude for the opportunity to serve this community and to seek common good through our work together. As we begin this meeting, we pause to center our hearts in your presence, asking for wisdom, humility, and grace. We are thankful for those who serve and lead our community, and are thankful for our first responders who watch over us and protect us, often making difficult sacrifices to serve those of our community, often going without thanks. God, we give you thanks for them. We gather together this evening amid an often deeply divided world and country. We are so very often confronted with hate, prejudice, injustice, and violence. The events of the past 2 weeks have us all on edge and fearful of the world around us. It seems there is so very much that tries to divide us as an American people. Instead of focusing on what divides us, remind us of the many things that unite us as citizens of this wonderful community, as we treat each other with dignity and respect. Remind us that you are present with us. Guide this town council with clarity of purpose. Let our deliberations be thoughtful, our speech be respectful, and our actions reflect your call to love our neighbor as ourselves. Inspire us to find common ground rooted in civility, love, and grace. May the decisions made here tonight uplift the lives of our residents, especially those who are vulnerable or in need. Remind us, O God, that true leadership is rooted in compassionate service. Remind us this evening of your love and your grace, reflected in each and every one of us, as we strive to do no harm, to do good, and to stay in love with you. Let those principles guide us as we labor together for the well-being of this wonderful town, as we continue to be a beacon of hope and light in our often struggling world. This we pray in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Bill. Appreciate you being here. We have an opportunity tonight for our no, I have a note. We need public comments. Would anybody like to make public comments?
We have two signed up for,
Okay.
but later during the agenda item.
Okay, please let us know then. Thank you. Okay, for the community spotlight, I'd like to call John Connolly to the podium, please. And John, when you get here, will you please tell us your address, and then you get the opportunity to speak to us.
Thank you, Mayor. I live at 21 Oxford Place here in Trophy Club. So I get the joy of sharing my story today of how I came from Trophy Club to Mount Kilimanjaro. And my picture here is me contemplating the summit night, where I was thinking, how on earth did I get here? So usually people want to know, how did all this begin? And so my next slide is kind of the beginning. I read this book called The 12-Hour Walk, and it challenges you to walk out your front door for 12 hours, no music, no dog, just you and your thoughts. And so I walked out of Trophy Club, where I live, all the way down to South Lake Boulevard, down to the Vin Hotel in Grapevine, all the way out to the marina and almost back home in a 12-hour walk. It was almost 30 miles. And that's when I realized I could maybe do some hard things that I didn't know I could do. And so I decided on that walk I'm climbing Kilimanjaro. It's been on my mind. And I started walking more. And then I got this ad on Instagram for a gym called Conquer Fitness right here in Trophy Club. As you can see my picture, I started going and working out there 3 times a week and told them what I'm trying to do. And so they helped me, encourage me, and put a workout plan together so I could be in shape. I did over 115 workouts and got ready for this mountain climb. I went up in June of this year is when I summited. So, you know, I flew to Africa. We did a major gear check. That's what my picture is. We went through debriefing, so we knew everything we were going to do, and it was an 8-day journey. And so we get in this van, and we have to drive 4 hours to the trailhead. So my fun question is the next slide for you is, what song do you think is playing in the van?
Eyes of Texas.
The Macarena.
The macaroni.
Actually, a cassette, and it was, hang on.
What did you say?
It was a cassette. It was Islands in the Stream by Kenny Loggins. It was his greatest hits. Or Kenny Rogers. Sorry, Kenny Rogers.
Written by the Bee Gees. Not a
There you go. So we listened to Kenny Rogers' greatest hits as we drove 3.5 miles, which was kind of funny, but that was great. And so, you know, here's our journey. This is the very beginning. This is what our tent was like. We had porters. We had 40 porters, 5 guides, and 11 climbers go up this mountain for 8 days. This is our first night. There's monkeys that yelled at us all night, and we couldn't sleep very well, and we were nervous. And then we just kept going. So every day we would climb. The next one shows kind of some pictures of the challenges that we faced along the way. It wasn't just a path up a mountain. There was a lot of points where you're climbing up and doing this stuff. And then keep going, trying to go fast. Everybody wants to know, what's the bathroom like? They bring a little tent and put a bathroom up. And so you actually have a toilet. This is our group eating dinner and kind of a sample of some of the food we ate. The food was excellent. We had 2 chefs cooking for us. So this is a luxury climb, probably, if you will. And so the big thing is the summit night. We left at 11 p.m. with headlamps on, and we climbed all through the night until I got to the very, very top at 7 a.m. So 8 hours straight up. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, and very rewarding. At the top, you can see there's a glacier, and we got up there, and we could see the sun come up. I don't know if you can tell in the pictures, but it looks like you're in an airplane because it's so far that you can see. And so my fun little stories, my next slide is this guy, Aristo. So when we first got there, they sing all these chants to you, and he's the guy on the left leading all these songs. And I was enamored by this guy because he was so passionate. I didn't know exactly what he was singing. And about 2 days into it, I asked, where is that guy? Like, where is he? And so they brought him over and had a translator because they speak Swahili, and we kind of became friends. Well, on summit night, they assigned him to me specifically to walk with me. Everybody had a porter, and I was so tired at the very top, right before we hit the top. I was just standing there waiting, and my nose was dripping, and I was cold. I mean, it was on the very, very top, it was, my pack recorded a -20, and so it was very cold, and he just reached up and wiped my nose because I wouldn't do it. And I was like, I've lost all dignity at this point, you know? So I think it matters. But anyway, this guy was amazing. He didn't get tired. He just helped me a lot. So it was really cool to have this connection with Aristo. He was one of my favorite parts of this trip. And so anyway, I did go with a friend of mine that on the left, this is our group at the top. Wow. This guy, Mark Cable, is a friend of mine. He's my old neighbor. I used to live in Mansfield, Texas. And he learned I was going by myself about 4 months before I left and said, you can't go by yourself. I'm going with you. Oh, man. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever because he did not really want to go. He went just to be my friend. And so that was really nice. The next one's just some of the porters in the background, you can kind of see. They carry all our gear up. Well, they made us a cake even at the end up on the mountain, which was pretty amazing. So we had a great celebration. And this is kind of the stats, if anybody's into stats, kind of how high it was and all that. It's 19,341 feet. So for perspective, if you go to the highest peak in Colorado, it's a mile taller. And so you have 50% oxygen at the top. It's very hard to breathe. You go very, very slow, and it was a challenge. So that was my journey.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I just want everyone to know that this is the purpose of our community spotlight. It's for many ways, and to experience with, for you to share experiences with us. We have people in this town who have experiences that I think are so interesting for all of us to know. And who knows, you are now the mentor for somebody.
I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, you may get calls, and thank you so much, John. But I also want to say that I want to take this opportunity to introduce Gary Ash, and Gary is our council person. And Gary, briefly tell us your trip to Fuji, and then I would like for you guys to take a picture together. And Denise, could you take pictures for them, or when it's time? Okay, thanks.
Hey, congratulations. Actually, I'm writing down information, so this is on the bucket list. Actually, this time, 2 weeks, I was actually coming down Mount Fuji.
Awesome.
So it's great you guys have porters, but it's an amazing experience. You know, with Fuji, the biggest challenge, of course, is that whole thing is nothing but volcano. So if you fall, which I did fall 3 times, that volcano cuts you pretty fast and quick. But the guides, we had fantastic guides. You know, I did not have the gourmet food that you had. I had rice and noodles and a
Yeah.
sliver of beef, you know.
We paid extra.
Yeah.
We paid extra.
Now the truth comes out.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was amazing. We had 38 in our group, 28 made it. We start with 38, 28 made it. But we had great guides. But the amazing thing is I went on my own. But what was amazing is we had so many people from so many different countries and cultures that all came together at once. And it was
Yeah.
just really, it was just
That was the best.
really
That was
cool.
really fun.
Yeah, and my favorite part was the sunrise.
Yes.
But I will say one thing that is amazing about the Japanese. At 12,329 feet, I had 5 bars on my cell phone.
Yeah,
We had no
I had,
signal.
I was,
precision operations
Yes.
all the time.
I was sitting there going, hold on, I'm sending my kids photos, and they're like, Dad, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, I got 5 bars, you know?
You won't have
ordered some
that.
decent food? I mean, you
Well,
had,
unknown fact, at the top of Mount Fuji, they have a restaurant at 12,320 feet. They have a restaurant, and you make reservations, and you can eat at
Make
the restaurant.
reservations?
Yeah, you make reservations to eat at the restaurant, so.
Yours sounds a little different than mine.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, would you like to just go down?
Yeah,
and-
thank you.
hey, John, while he's coming down there, I was intrigued. I know you got some friends here. Ben's a good friend of mine, golfing buddy of mine.
Yes.
Oh,
So
well, good.
it's a 12-hour walk as golf? Is it, because sometimes it's about 12 hours.
It could be.
right?
It could be
Does
that.
count?
Maybe it's just 2 rounds.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, and also, there are friends here. Whose friends came to see John?
Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations to you. Yeah. We're workout partners. That's how we got to be friends as I was training for the mountain.
Nice. Oh, and we drink beer at the end, too.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah. Carbohydrate recovery.
Let's get this right here.
Thank you. Nice story.
Oh,
I
thank
hope
you.
you tell that to other people.
I'll plan on it.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, please call.
Yeah, thank you.
See, do I get credit for climbing up Indian Creek Hill?
Yeah, I went upstairs a couple times last week.
Did you have-
Kids live up there. I try to stay away.
So, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, let's go on to any comments working with town council members. Anybody have comments? Okay, Dennis.
Mayor, I wanted to do an update on the amount of money the town has expended on Councilman Bauer's issues. August legal expenses were $4,491.25. When you add it to the previous amounts, it's in excess of $9,000. As I mentioned last meeting, the town does not track staff time on this issue. My guess, it is similar to the legal expenses, which means we've spent over $18,000. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay, what? Okay, thank you. Steve?
Yeah. So, for the last, I don't know, Mayor, year or more, we have
What
been
you ready to
working
say?
on a designation for the town, if anybody remembers, talking about patriotism and whatnot. Well, I don't know if everybody knows this, and you'll hear a lot more in the coming weeks, but on June 20th of this year, Governor Abbott signed into legislation designating Trophy Club as the official Texas town of patriotism. How about that?
Give yourself a hand on that. Now, to follow up on that, that is a 10-year designation. Therefore, keep planting flags because it's very important. So when you plant flags, you know that you had a part in achieving that recognition, and it's not easy to receive. They actually take it through the legislature. Other representatives can oppose it, support it, and so forth. So it's not an easy declaration or resolution, so it is voted on. And thank you, Steve, we will be putting that out into the public in a more organized way and such that kind of a campaign, would you call it a campaign? Not a campaign, but a
Media
recognition.
campaign.
Somehow
right?
to really get it out there. But it's a wonderful designation and something that many people in this room have helped to make happen. Thank you. You have any comment? Anybody? Jeff, Stacy?
No.
I'm going to say something. I live in the area of the Harmony Park, so I watch the pickleball courts. And I'm just telling you, the pickleball courts, where are you, Chase? They're coming along. They are now surfaced. We have poles sticking up, and the retainer wall looks really beautiful. It's beginning to be it's going to be a nice space. And I walk through there on Saturdays in the afternoon, but Saturday in particular, I was walking through me and all the soccer players. So soccer is out, and I just want to say, it's hard to walk around a full park and see all these children that were 4 up to 15 playing soccer, and not to think about the character that children develop with their athletic investments. And so my hat's off to the moms and dads who invest a huge amount of time to get their kids out there to play. And so it was just fun to see. It was a beautiful Saturday morning, seeing all these kids and families playing soccer. And I get to watch the pickleball progress. So I was thinking, okay, now we're going to have all this pickleball. People complain about pickleball because of the noise. You do know that. Those are the complaints about pickleball, is the noise. So now you're going to be able to walk through and hear the balls back and forth. So that's going to be fun. So anyway, thank you very much, Chase, and to the park board for providing that into a beautiful park space. Okay, let's go to the consent agenda.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We want to go to the quick tip.
Town manager?
We're going to the town manager.
Oh, that guy.
Da-da-da-da-da.
That guy right there.
What's his name?
We're ready to,
But on pickleballs, by the way,
Thank you.
the courts will be done with those. Right now, the projected end date for that project is November 1st. So we're looking forward to sometime in early November, we'll be hosting a ribbon cutting. More information coming out about that soon. With it, but we are excited to have that project done. Along that line, though, we are excited to get started with the community pool project. And so we'll be having a groundbreaking this Friday, September 26th at 9:30 a.m. over at the community pool. Invite the council and obviously anyone from the public that would like to come and be part of that groundbreaking with us. We are hosting the 2025 Can-Am Utility Demo Experience here in Trophy Club. Let's see, so Can-Am and the town of Trophy Club are teaming up to host the 2025 Can-Am Utility Demo Experience at Trophy Club Park on Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th. Guests can register to take a 45-minute demo ride on the latest Can-Am Defender and Outlander models.
what is that? Is that a bike?
They're like,
It's like a three-wheel,
The tricycle,
four
motorcycle.
wheels,
Okay.
yeah.
four wheels.
Oh, that four now?
Four-wheelers,
Yeah.
yep. Yep.
Okay.
Be kind of a fun experience. Let's see. The park's ATV tracks will be closed, because of that, will be closed on Wednesday, September 24th for setup, and again on Thursday, September 25th for a dealership-only event.
Good.
Right, so invite the public out to that particular event. Friday Lights Contest is coming up, so get ready to be spooked. Trophy Club Fright Lights is back with hauntingly creative yard displays, creepy music, eerie lighting, and maybe even a ghost or two. Check out trophyclub.org for more information. Pet Fest is also coming up, returns on Saturday, October 4th at Freedom Dog Park, bringing pets and their owners together for a tail-wagging good time. We would love to see everyone there. Love those dogs. National Night Out will take place on October 7th. As neighborhoods throughout Trophy Club join the police department and communities nationwide for this annual event against crime. Residents can participate by turning on their outside lights from 6 to 10 p.m., organizing a block party, and registering their events with the police department. And last but not least, we have a town council work session on September 24th, so here in 2 days on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the purposes of reviewing the appointments committee's recommendations to the town council. And then also on September 29th begins our 2025 Citizen Academy, and we're looking forward to inviting 11 residents into that program.
Is that full? Is that
It is
academy?
not full, no.
Okay, so how many spaces are left for the academy? Do you have any idea?
We have enough spaces for a few more.
Okay,
anyway.
please, if you're interested, Mark, there's Mark Thompson. Did you sign up, Mark? I have not. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so please do. That's a wonderful experience that comes every year for you to participate in. Okay, quick tip.
Okay, so effective September 1st, state law was changed to allow for procurements up to $100,000 without competitive bidding. I bring that up because you have a lot of items on this agenda that are under the $100,000 threshold. Previously, it was $50,000, so for many, many years, municipalities were kind of bound by that $50,000 limitation. Now it's $100,000. Some of these items, and I think it's just helpful for people to understand, have already been competitively bid through cooperative purchasing agreements and also by other municipalities. And so Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code allows us to enter into agreements with other governmental entities that have already competitively bid, so we can basically piggyback on their agreements, and the town doesn't have to expend funds going out there and competitively bidding.
Wow.
In addition to that, Chapter 271 allows us to do cooperative purchasing agreements with cooperative purchasing entities through the state and federal government and other states, and that's why you have a lot of these items on the agenda that are referencing cooperative purchasing agreements.
Oh, they're trying to save us some money then, at last. State's working for us. That's good. Okay, thank you. Good tip. Thank you so much. By the way, I hope y'all notice his quick tips. Would you tell us how you determine your quick tips, please? Just for your information.
Whatever you can explain in under 90 seconds.
Yeah, but he has to come up with them, so.
The mayor wants them quick.
Yeah. Well,
I try to keep it to whatever's on the agenda and what might be helpful in explaining. For example, these are all consent items, and so it'd be typical to see these on consent.
okay, good. So y'all, by the way, this is a good opportunity to say we have a student in our audience today, and she is here specifically for what reason?
I'm taking a Texas government class in college.
In college. Wow. Well, come back. Thank you so much. What is your name?
Shelby.
Shelby. And you live in Trophy Club, right? Yeah, I know your mom. Okay, thank you for being here, and this is an opportunity for people to come in, and hey, this is your local government. I'm telling you, your participation in this world starts at your local government. So get out there, be a part of it, make it happen. Thank you so much. That's enough. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. This part of the agenda consists of non-controversial or housekeeping items required by law. Items may be removed from consent by any council member by making such request prior to a motion.
Steve?
I move to approve the consent agenda, items 3 through 16.
Second.
Jeff will second. Is discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, consent agenda passes.
Individual items. 17, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance accepting and approving an update of the service and assessment plan and an updated assessment role for the Town of Trophy Club Public Improvement District Number 1 in compliance with Chapter 372 Public Improvement District Assessment Act of the Texas Local Government Code.
Okay, we are going, oh, April, you ready? We're going to enter into a public hearing, and April will conduct this with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we are conducting a public hearing regarding the Public Improvement District Service and Assessment Plan, as well as the updated assessment roll. Notice of this hearing was published in the Commercial Recorder on September 12, 2025, and mailed directly to all PID residents. The annual service and assessment plan outlines both the debt obligations of the PID and how the collected funds are utilized. In 2025, the PID bonds were refinanced, resulting in approximately $4 million in savings over the life of the debt. This refinancing also shortened the overall term of the outstanding debt by 1 year. Approval of the service and assessment plan is an annual requirement. To date, the town has not received any public comments on this item. Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion?
And the
Oh,
public
no,
hearing.
no, I'm sorry, we're still public. Do we have any speakers for this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:33. Now, is there discussion from the council, please?
I'll color this by saying we've got a handful of items similar to this coming up, and these are basically annual process things that we do every year. So
Thank you.
if you're, wondering why we're just all saying, yeah,
Solid.
cool, sounds good, that's why.
These are yearly kind of, annual stuff. Anybody else comment? Anyone? All right, I need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-13.
Is there a second?
Second.
Steve seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ron, for commenting on that. Okay.
Item 18, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance finding that the annual special assessments for emergency services in Public Improvement District Number 1, the Highlands at Trophy Club, no longer provide a special benefit to the property, providing that no further levy of assessments for emergency services will be made in accordance with Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code, repealing the service and assessment plan and providing an effective date.
7:34, public hearing. April?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we are holding a public hearing regarding the Public Improvement District Emergency Services Assessment. Notice of this hearing was published in the Commercial Recorder on September the 12th, 2025, and mailed directly to all PID residents. Historically, residents within the PID paid a separate fire services assessment as part of their annual property tax bill. Earlier this year, the town partnered with the Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1 to expand the mud boundaries to include the PID. Beginning with this tax cycle, PID residents will now be billed for fire services in the same manner as all other Trophy Club residents. Because of this change, future public hearings on this item will no longer be required. To date, the town has not received any public comments regarding this agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, are there any public speakers? No? Hey, this is great. It's 7:35. Close the public hearing. Anybody comments?
I'll move that we approve the ordinance finding annual special assessments for emergency services in PID number 1 no longer provide a special benefit to the property, providing that no further levy of assessments for emergency services will be made in accordance with Chapter 372 of Texas Local Government Code, repealing the service and assessment plan and effective today.
I'll second.
Jeff seconds. Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 19, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance amending sections 14.02.052, definitions, section 14.02.103, use table, and Division 5, supplementary district regulations of Article 2, zoning ordinance of Chapter 14, zoning of the Code of Ordinances, by updating regulations pertaining to nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, and community homes, and establishing for the registration of such operations. And you do have 3 public speakers, 2 public comments for this one.
Okay. So we are needing to go into a public hearing at 7:37. And Tamara?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll
there you
start.
go. Or, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I was looking for you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is the public hearing on the final stage of the goal number 5, which is establish best practices for permitting senior and group homes and boarding homes for the fiscal year 25 council business goals. Throughout the process, we have conducted a town council workshop, a P&Z and ZBA joint workshop session, and a resident input session on this topic. Main themes for this feedback are shown on the screen. Each theme has been addressed in the ordinance. One of the themes was not, is the residential background check. The attorney has advised against this, but just to state that through the state licensings, all workers who will be in contact with residents will have had a background check to gain licensing. So the ordinance changes, the first one is parking. Parking was a concern for everyone, as residential parking, street parking and Trophy Club can often be limited. The ordinance addresses both off-street and on-street parking. On-street parking must be directly adjacent to the property's front line. All applicable parking ordinances remain in effect. At the Town Council and Joint P&Z ZBA work session, it was important to include a provision that the town will report all violations to the state licensing agency. At the Town Council and Joint P&Z ZBA work session, it was also important to include verbiage that states any property improvements must comply with subdivision and zoning regulations, and any non-residential improvements will require a reasonable accommodation application. Inspection protocols were a key topic of discussion at the P&Z and ZBA work session. The ordinance establishes requirements for registration and inspection at several key points. The initial registration, renewal, issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and in response to complaints. So any violations are categorized as a life safety, a critical, or non-critical. Each category includes specific timeframes for corrections, beginning from the issuance of the notice of violation, and then failure to comply may result in revoking the CO. The topic of community notification came up in the joint P&Z and ZBA work session. If a reasonable accommodation request is made with the town may notify properties within 200 feet and provide a copy of that regulation. The topic of property restrictions came up with the joint P&Z and ZBA work session. Chapter 123 of the Texas Human Resource Code states a community home may not be established within 1/2 mile of an existing community home. So that was just the distance between the two. For public education will be provided after approval through a dedicated webpage and include all applicable documents. The issue of trash and medical waste was a significant concern for the residents. The ordinance requires compliance with both local trash regulations and state disposal regulations. Failure to comply with either will constitute an ordinance violation and will be reported to the state. A fee schedule was also included in the ordinance. We have a permit application of $300, legal review, which will be the actual cost, inspection, which will be $150, reinspection will be $150, and then use of outside consultants like lawyer fees will be actual cost. So this ordinance was brought to P&Z on September 4th and approved 5-1. After the public hearing is closed, if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer. We also have Chairman Biggs here from the Planning and Zoning Commission to discuss what we discussed in the P&Z meeting.
Are there public, Chairman, would you like to say anything? Would you like to come to the podium?
Mayor, Council, I think this ordinance has probably been vetted more than anything else here as far as a legal standpoint and as far as input from citizens and council members and two of the committees and commissions here. We went through all the things you mentioned. We had public input, and we had some some commissioner input, and we talked about a lot of things if you watch the tape and whatnot. But the one thing we tried to stay away from is there was a bad experience with one of these type houses here. And I think we tried to stay away from trying to create and make suggestions and suggestions for change in what was presented by the attorneys because of that one thing. That's a past thing. It was a bad thing. So now we have a chance to regulate it and enforce it and make some regulations. And we came to the conclusion that we want to be reasonable. And we think what was presented in this ordinance by the attorneys and after all the input from everyone involved was completely reasonable and also comply with state and federal law, which we're going to do it if we have to do it. I mean, that's kind of the way it is with them. So we at least put in the things that we thought were reasonable enough to control and then enforce any situations we get into. And the other element that came up at the very end was simply that we have an opportunity to change an ordinance if we get 2 or 3 of these things in here and things start going this way and that way. We can come in and amend later on if we have some experience. So rather than try and create every possible situation that might happen about deliveries and parking and everything else, we said this is our base, let's go from here. If we need to change it later, we can.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Public comments?
Pat Kiefer.
Thank you. Oh, Pat, yeah, you're coming to, are you, I was, what, I thought, are you? That was me. I didn't know you were.
At 75, I'm a mite slower than I used to be.
I understand.
My name is Pat Kiefer, and we've lived on Fresh Meadow for 41 years. We live next to a rental property, and some of these comments are from that experience, similar to what happened on Oak Hill. I will say that it's a little concerning that without written notice to the 1,700 homeowners shown in the black shaded areas, it may be inappropriate to change their zoning with this ordinance without letting them know. When Brandon asked me to join this discussion, I read the 1,042 emails on the Oak Hill facility and the foundational laws. The Oak Hill facility raised 4 issues that had a very high impact on the neighborhood. One you've heard was parking for medical services personnel, as you saw in the video. It was horrible. Postal service, garbage, and school bus services were impeded, and traffic was reduced to one-way. Driveways were blocked, and folks had to get people to move their cars so that the homeowner could go to work. This type of business operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Second one was the regular business deliveries and pickup of laundry, medical supplies, medical waste, medications, food service, and that exacerbated the parking problem even worse. Number 3 was 5 large trash containers of human waste, soiled materials were always outside in view of the neighbors and the street and added an unpleasant odor to the area. And number 4, there were 100 times more ambulance calls than a typical home in Trophy Club. These are the items that need to be addressed in the ordinance, and possible solutions are, in parking in June, our state passed House Bill 2464 that gave the authority to municipalities like us to regulate home-based businesses. And thank you to the town staff for sharing this at the council's summer retreat package. That's where I learned about this. In the P&Z meeting, our attorney said we can use this to require 100% off-street parking. We need to do so and to have a set of fines if there are violations. In terms of deliveries, in the R-zoned areas that are covered in this ordinance specifically today, town council right now has the ability to require off-street deliveries. This needs to be done, and again, a set of fines for violations. For trash, these types of commercial businesses do not generate sales tax revenue to the town today, but they do, in my opinion, need to comply with commercial security and screening of their trash. And finally, with ambulances, the only way to lower the ambulance call count is to limit occupancy. And our attorney has said that we have underlying laws that does limit the occupancy to 6 residents and 2 staff members. However, somehow we got Oak Hill approved with 11 bedrooms. So I would encourage council to add that specification.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
And finally, thank you for your service to the community.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sarah Miniotis.
Thank
Hi, Sarah Miniotis, 248 Oak Hill Drive. Sorry, bad voice. I'm here really to support Pat Kiefer, and I hope you all received her information that she gave you on the ordinances. And all I can tell you is my experience living across the street from Silverleaf Nursing Home. It was kind of a nightmare. And they had like 10 vendors. They parked on both sides of the street. So if you're giving them 2 parking places, that may not work. They had many spaces to park on property. However, they did not choose to do so. One person would park there because they'd get a ticket if they parked overnight. Everybody else parked on the street. So when the garbage truck tried to come down, or the school bus, or anything else, it was a nightmare. So I just wanted to reiterate that parking is a big issue, and being on a dead curve as I am, it was also hazardous. Okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
Yeah, you're on a difficult curve. Other comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:49, please. Now it's open to discussion for the council. Comments, questions? Dennis? Nothing?
I don't want to take up the entire time.
Fine.
Okay. Start with page 427
In what?
in our agenda.
Okay.
And it says, the last paragraph, additionally, a legal framework is being developed. Brandon, could you explain
Yeah.
what that means?
Yes, and I don't have the wording right in front of me, but I'll read the next couple words after that, just because it'll provide a little bit of context.
To incorporate reasonable accommodation procedures,
There we go.
ensure compliance.
Yep, yeah, so on the ordinance itself, right, gets at the requirements on that reasonable accommodation process would be an administrative policy that we are developing with that, along with all the documents, the applications and things like that would need to be filled out. So in reference to that is that the reasonable accommodation process is not defined in ordinance because it is federal law that kind of sets forth the idea of reasonable accommodation. So we'll develop internal policies for how to review reasonable accommodation requests and to review and ultimately approve or deny them.
Okay?
Yeah.
Next one on the same page, second paragraph, convalescent and group homes are not state regulated or licensed. But then down in the third paragraph, it talks about state regulations while licensing is governed by state law. Are these as defined under state law, in state licensing? I'm talking about the nursing, the assisted living, and the community.
Tamara, can I help?
Yes, so convalescent was actually stripped from the ordinance. We're just using community home, nursing home, and assisted living facilities. All are regulated by Chapter 123 or 247, and it abides by that in the ordinance. So anything will be implied in the ordinance through those chapters.
Got it. Thank you. And then my next question is, it was made a comment that this only affects the zoned areas, not the PD areas. This also affects PD.
That's right.
I just wanted to make sure that so you're talking about the entire town. Then you come down to page 445, wherever that is. Now I'm into the ordinance. And you've got a use table up there. And in the district qualifications, and assisted living facilities are not allowed in the residential areas, but the community home is. Then when you go to the definition of a community home, it includes assisted living. See if I get that right. Or am I confused?
Yeah, it would be a reasonable accommodation in a residential area.
But it's still limited in number.
Well, but if I look at the use table, it's flat not allowed, except for in neighborhood services. If I'm looking for assisted living facility,
Right.
it's not allowed in residential. But then but the community home is, and since you've included, and I'm trying to find the definition of the community home, the community home definition includes assisted living facilities. Does that have to be that way?
Yes, that's how state law is written.
That's
So
how state law is.
State law has several definitions that overlap. And so when you're looking at section 123.004, it includes definition of community-based residential home. Then it also refers to an assisted living facility, but there's a caveat. It says, provided that the exterior structure retains compatibility with the surrounding residential dwellings. And that's why she mentioned that there would be a reasonable accommodation that would be required.
Then why do you have it separated out on the use table?
We have it separated out on the use table to provide clarity for the use table, but reasonable accommodations are a case-by-case basis. And I can read, this is from the Department of Justice.
No, okay, but then I'd like to ask that you amend the use table to say a reasonable accommodation.
Yeah, so I
It
think
says
what
no.
we would do is put an asterisk.
Or interpret it
there.
as no.
Mhm. And we could put a note there.
Yeah, please. Flipping over to um, 447. Can we make these a special use permit? Can we make these applications an SUP? And what I'm thinking of is under the ordinance for zoning, that's it, whatever's in writing. If you make it a special use permit, you could still be allowed, and you could not stop it, but you could maybe put something that it terminates upon non-use, or that the house has got to be returned to its original state? Or can that be incorporated somewhere?
That's a really great question. So I'm going to read section 123.003. It says this: the use and operation of a community home that meets the qualifications imposed under this chapter is a use by right that is authorized in any district zoned as residential. And so that's how we cover all residential throughout the entire city. It's a use by right under state law. It also says this: a restriction, reservation, exception, or other provision in an instrument, and I'm guessing that's an instrument recorded in the deed records, so deeds and restrictions, right? Or covenants and restrictions, excuse me, created or amended on or after September 1, 1985 that relates to transfer, sale, lease, or use of property may not prohibit the use of the property as a community home.
Okay.
So in case you're wondering about the zoning ordinance also enshrined in state law as it relates to covenants and restrictions.
Okay, no, thank you. And in here, can a garage be converted into AC? Or is it still required to have a two-car garage per our normal zoning?
Yeah, so again, reasonable accommodations. And I think that they would have a very hard path to get to that point for reasonable accommodation. And that's why I mentioned earlier, and I want to read this on the record. I think it's important to understand, because what has been recommended is basically an administrative process for staff to approve reasonable accommodations. And this is what it says. This is the Department of Justice website. You can look it up. This is the current administration. This hasn't changed probably in the last 10, 15, 20 years. As long as I've been reading it, it's always been the same. It says this: to refuse to make reasonable accommodation in land use and zoning policies and procedures where such accommodations may be necessary to afford persons or groups of persons with disabilities an equal opportunity to use and enjoy housing. So it's two separate things, use and enjoyment. And so we want to make sure that the restrictions don't prohibit enjoyment. And these are words that can be broadly interpreted, and they have been by the Department of Justice over many administrations. What constitutes a reasonable accommodation is a case-by-case determination. Now, this is important, though, so as it relates to your legislative power and authority. Not all requested modifications of rules or policies are reasonable. And so that's the rub. That's where we have to find out where you can regulate. If a requested modification imposes an undue financial burden or administrative burden on a local government, or if a modification creates a fundamental alteration in a local government's land use or zoning scheme, it is not a reasonable accommodation. And usually you find out what that means in litigation. So under the scenario that you presented, I think that that would not be a reasonable accommodation.
Okay. Thank you. Never said I was reasonable. Can we limit?
Say that one more time.
We just held a vote. We just had a vote.
Yeah, can we get a show of
Yeah,
hands?
is that right? Okay.
Let's vote, all those in favor?
Do I understand that the bedrooms are limited to 6?
So
And is that on the community or the assisted or?
bedrooms are limited on community. Again, reasonable accommodations. So remember that the definition of community home also includes nonprofit organizations. And some of them will come in, they'll target municipalities specific for that purpose and based on the size of the house, and they will request reasonable accommodations for additional rooms.
Okay. So can we restrict somebody coming in and increasing the size of a house? If I bought a 3,000 square foot house, can I add 1,000 square foot and
Yeah.
4 more bedrooms?
Yeah, again, that's a great question. On a case-by-case basis, I would argue it's not a reasonable accommodation.
Okay. Then one last comment, Mayor. Just my last
You
one.
hear anybody else wanting to talk?
No. All right. I'd just like to make a comment that, or make sure I'm thinking correctly. On EMT visits, we do collect money from the insurance. Correct. Okay, so if it's a billable visit, we get paid. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I'm happy with it, with that one correction of the asterisk on the use table. Thank you.
Roland has a question.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody why we're here, what it is we're trying to achieve. And, you know, if you've spent much time here where you've heard zoning come up, you've heard about land use, allowed uses. Open up any plan development zoning document, and there's a list of allowed uses, and they're oftentimes very specific. They're very distinct, to the point where sometimes, like for example, we had a gentleman a month ago come in who wanted to do a golf simulator business, right? I don't know if some of y'all were here that night, and we had to go in and open up the document and make sure that there was actually the right wording in there that would add that. Yet somehow, some way, our brilliant state government has found themselves wise enough, and I use that word facetiously, to allow for a clearly commercial operation to happen in a single-family residential zoning district, and it is wrong. So what we are here to do today is, unfortunately, we are trying to arrive at an outcome that if we had our way, we'd be breaking state law. But we can't do that. Like Mike said, our P&Z chairman, we can't do that. So what we have to do is make sure that we're all in agreement that what we are doing is reasonable and within our power legally to defend, to try and protect our neighbor's interests, because it is not fair to people like Ms. Miniatis who had to deal with this for the time that she had to deal with it. And just the few things she cited, I personally don't understand how those don't fall under some type of general health and welfare and safety of the community, and yet somehow we are still powerless to the state. So I would hope that whatever energy still remains in the community that is concerned about this possibility, as hopefully rare as it may be, I hope that the energy is directed towards our state government, because goodness knows they could use the help. Now that I'll get off my soapbox. Dean, thank you for the great level of detail you guys have gone through. I appreciate it. I just want our residents and our neighbors to know that we really want to look out for your neighborhoods first and foremost. It's not fair, it's not okay. I don't like it. Add it to the list of things in Austin that don't make sense, I guess. But other than that, I would just say that I appreciate the P&Z did a lot of work. You guys have done a ton to incorporate all of the feedback. And then obviously Dennis's fine-tooth comb attention to detail. I don't have any recommended adjustments to what we've done. The only thing I would say is that, generally speaking, anything pertaining to street parking, whether to allow or not allow or how much to allow, is almost impossible to enforce, you know, because how do you know if someone's parked on the street for the purpose of the business it's operating versus somebody down the street that had a contractor come out and brought 3 trucks with them? It becomes almost like you're going around to everybody that's out there and asking them for who you with. You know, it becomes a burden. So I struggle with what to do with that. I'd hear of options, but generally speaking, I just want to empathize with everybody that's already had to deal with this and thank the people that put time into figuring out an ordinance that hopefully we can work with.
Yeah, I really agree with you as well, Ryland, because we are working within the state confines and looking at the needs of our community to adjust it to the degree that we can. And again, thank you, Tamara, because I know you've done a lot of research on this. And Michael, the P&C people, everybody who's invested, attorney and so forth. I don't have anything to add to it except that I do appreciate when parking is a mess in front of your house and there's not much you can really do about it. And I know exactly where Sarah lives. She lives on a curve and she's right across from that. And when you've got 2 vehicles parked there, there's no place to move. But again, many of us have those issues, quite frankly. And parking is always a question. But we work within our rights and continuously look for opportunities. So thank you again for all the work you've done, all the people that contributed to this. And thank you for the residents, because I know it's very near and dear to your heart. And in particular, Sarah, who lives there. So,
Yeah.
any other
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 19 with the one correction to the use table.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Steve seconds. Any discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Item 20, consider authorizing the town manager to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Olson Incorporated for gateway, water tower, and wayfinding signage design in a not-to-exceed amount of $111,300.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is part of our fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26 strategic plan initiative, which is to develop a wayfinding directional signage package to enhance the town's brand image, monumentation, and street signage. An RFP went out to the public in June. We received 3 proposals. A review committee of several department heads whose areas will be impacted by this made up the review process. After the review process, 2 were chosen to come in for an interview. After the interview, the review committee selected Olson Incorporated as the firm that best aligns with the project requirements and objectives. The wayfinding project will include a comprehensive gateway, water tower, and signage program. It will be broken into 2 phases. Phase 1 will cover the current scope of work and design. Phase 2 will focus on implementation and construction, with costs allocated annually through the capital improvement plan. Total cost will be a not to exceed $111,300 and will be funded through the hotel occupancy tax fund. Staff does recommend approval of this project, which if approved, will begin Q1 of fiscal year '26.
Is there any discussion? So let me make sure, this is just the agreement to hire a consultant. This
Yes.
has nothing to do with the signs, has nothing to do with the design, has nothing to do with whatever. It's just giving us a source from which to help us go forward.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a process. We will result
correct.
in design concepts.
Correct.
Right, we won't have
Yes.
finalized construction designs, right, but we'll
right.
have design concepts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And will this be including some input from the community, or is this just more?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
That's how we do
So
it.
if you're here, you,
Yep.
we don't do anything anymore with that community
There we go,
input.
exactly. There'll be plenty of opportunities
Yeah.
along the way.
So this is the beginning of that initiative. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to authorize town manager to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Olson Incorporated for Gateway Water Tower and wayfinding signage design in a not-to-exceed amount of $111,300.
I'll second.
Gary seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. It's 8:08, and we are adjourned.
Let's do it.
Yes.